Welcome back to Nerd News Today. I'm Matthew, and while I don't really get a chance to talk about it much here, I am a big Batman fan, and I especially am a collector of Batmobiles. So when I saw the first trailer for the upcoming The Batman film from Matt Reeves, I was very curious about the new Batmobile. I was very intrigued by it, and I wasn't sure if I liked it at first. And to be honest, I'm still not entirely sure, but I tend to base a lot of my decisions on the toys that are around it, because that's really going to be the best way you get a look at the entire thing from all angles. Enter Jada Toys, who is a name I don't think I've ever talked about much on this channel. We visit them at Toy Fair events, but we haven't actually done really much reviews of their products before. I think maybe we did like one ever, and that was it. And that's mainly because I'm not really a big car collector. But Jada sent me an email recently and let me know about what we're looking at today. And this right here, folks, is the new die-cast 118 Batmobile from Jada Toys. And this Batmobile is going to be exclusive to their Jada Next Level website. And it's available for pre-order right now, and that's going to be the only place you can get this thing. As far as vehicles go, Jada does some top-notch work, and that's not just me kissing butt because I got this thing for free here. They do an excellent job with their vehicles, but I'm not typically a big car collector. But again, being a Batmobile guy, I had to take them up with this offer because I really wanted to see this thing from all angles, and especially what's really cool about this one is some of the things that it has and can do. Now, I'm no car expert, but I'm pretty sure this Batmobile is actually an amalgam of a bunch of different cars. That would include like a Charger, Ford Mustang, and I think a Camaro as well are kind of elements that are part of what this Batmobile is, but it's not really any one thing from any of those. It's just, again, an amalgamation of different classic retro American muscle cars. And that's kind of what's making this Batmobile so unique and so kind of confusing for me as well to decide whether or not I like it, because I'm so used to the Tumbler from the Nolan movies, or even the Keaton Batmobile. The Schumacher ones, we're not going to talk about those. The Batmobile is always such an iconic design. It's, I think, even more important than how the Batsuit looks. So, yeah, there's a lot of weight here on this vehicle, and it's going to probably determine whether or not I really do like this Batmobile as much as it is just a toy review. But before we get this vehicle out of the plastic Batcave, if you will, let's go ahead and take a closer look at this packaging. So here's a more up-close look at the box itself. Let's go ahead and take a better look here at some of the stuff that's in here. And one of the key things that this set has is a 1/18 scale figurine of Batman. And one of the reasons I haven't really collected a lot of Jada stuff is because I'm not really a fan of how they do their little die-cast figurines. I always think they're kind of gloppy looking with the paint. Detail's kind of weird. So I'm excited to see how this one's going to compare. But of course, the main attraction is what we're looking at right now. That would be this Batmobile. And man, it looks really cool. But one of the things I really like the most about this vehicle is that it actually has a Try Me button here. So what you can do is you can stick a finger in the hole, which sounds terrible, but that is what you're doing. And you just basically close the door a little bit. And you can see a little bit right now, there's some light up features in this vehicle, and that is really cool. There's actually, I think, 3 light up parts of this vehicle that we're going to get a better look at once it's out of the packaging. But that, I think, is what's the most exciting part about this Batmobile. So let's just do a quick rotation as well of the box here. Here it is from the top. And this is also really nice because you can get a real good look at what the top of the Batmobile is going to look like, as well as a nice looking picture there of Robert Pattinson as the Batman. So that's this big giant window. Let's actually flip this around one more time. And by the way, you can see on the sides right here, we've got a nice little window as well on that side. Same for this side too. So that is cool because that means you do get to have a really nice look at this thing from all angles, just like I'm going to say in probably another minute or two. But really the back of the box lets you know what everything is and what we're going to be seeing once this actually is loose. And that's a better look at all the different lights and things that it can do here. So you guys can see right here, the hood is going to open up. We've got some lights on the front. We're going to have the door that opens, which is, I guess, activates all of that. And we're going to have some tail lights and some other really cool things here. Surprisingly, there's no sound effects in this. I kind of thought there would be sound effects, but I'm not complaining about that either. I'm just as happy having lights. So that's the box, but of course I'm not a mint on card collector, and chances are neither are you. And I really want to see what this Batmobile looks like. So let's go ahead and get this thing now out of the packaging and take a better look at it from all angles. All right, everybody, so I just took this thing out of the box. Before I get it completely out of here, I wanted to show it to you how it is in this format here. This might be the way you ultimately want to display it, although you probably want to get rid of this Try Me sticker. But basically what's happening here is it's actually a pretty cool looking, solid, sturdy base. But I recommend maybe holding on to it if you are going to be a loose collector, just because it has these little mounts here. And by the way, you are going to need a screwdriver to take these things out. But the upside is if you do hold on to this, then, well, you've got a really nice, potentially sturdy display thing. You could probably even maybe change the sticker to something else, or I don't think you're going to be able to get this thing off, actually. That's pretty much solid in there, but you might be able to find something else to put there. I don't quite know. We're going to see once we actually unscrew this thing how it actually all fits together, but that is potentially a way to display this piece. So let me go ahead and unscrew this, and then we'll go ahead and get a real, proper look at this new Batmobile. I may have spoken too soon, because it turns out there's actually 4 more screws to deal with. So let me go ahead and deal with that, and then we'll come back and finally take a look at this thing. Although I should warn you guys, I've already managed to scuff the side door of the car a little bit because of trying to unscrew it. I guess like I kept maybe hitting this. I don't quite know. Basically now this is a little scuffed, so not happy about that. We'll take a better look at this in a minute. And here we are. Here is our Jada Next Level diecast Batmobile, along with the diecast Batman, who, by the way, you can see it there. He had 2 little holes in his feet as well. He was also screwed into the base. So there's a total of 10 screws you have to deal with. And they're surprisingly very heavy-duty screws. In fact, these are the screws right here that I had to use for the Batmobile itself. They're pretty long. They're pretty thick, surprisingly. I wasn't prepared for that much work to get this car out of the packaging, but it makes sense that it's there because this is a pretty heavy piece. It could easily move around and bang around in the packaging here. Same thing with Batman. He had smaller screws, but still pretty heavy-duty ones attached to him. Now, I did mention there is a little bit of a scuff on his door there, which I think you guys can see right there. But I'm pretty sure I can actually buff that out. It's not like it's a deep scratch either. I'm pretty sure if I get some turtle wax, I'll probably fix that up. But for anybody out there who is a diecast car collector, if you've had to deal with this kind of an issue before, let me know in the comments what you did to help kind of alleviate that problem. So yeah, let us go ahead and start by talking about this Batmobile, because this thing is, I gotta say, I'm really impressed. You know, again, not being a super duper car collector, I really am liking the look of this thing here. So yeah, let's just start turning around a little bit. I mean, I'll have some better rotations for you towards the end of the video here, but this thing is really, I gotta say, very impressive, very nice looking. As far as a Batmobile, you know, it's pretty unusual, but it kind of makes sense when you consider that this is year 1 Batman. And Batman is still, trying to figure his stuff out. He doesn't really know who he is yet. He doesn't really have an identity necessarily, so, you know, it's actually kind of cool. I kind of like what they're doing here with this Batmobile, now that I'm actually really seeing it up close. And while it might not be the most obviously ostentatious Batmobile like we've seen with the Schumacher or even the Keaton Batmobile, you know, the elements are still there. Like, you know, you guys can see, I'll actually turn it on to its side a little bit. Just the shape of this thing, it's very much a Batmobile kind of shape. It's still a muscle car, but it's a Batman muscle car, and that's kind of awesome. Now, one thing I do want to show you guys also, before we go too deep into waxing poetic about this vehicle here, is a pretty important thing. Here's the bottom of the car. You can see there actually is an on and off switch here, and right now it's currently in the try me phase. So that's been what we've been looking at whenever we open and close the car door. That's what we're seeing. So I'll do it again for you guys right now. We open the door, it's going to light up, and yeah. So it's very short, very sweet. I'm going to go ahead and let's actually switch it completely on, and let's see what happens. So I'm assuming that means probably the lights just stay on a lot longer, right? Let's find out. Now let's get a better look at some of these lights as well. In fact, you guys can see the headlights are currently on. That's what's going on in the front. Very nice, bright headlights. Looking very nice here. See if I'm actually going to drop my camera down a little bit. Let's see if we can get a little bit better head-on look at what this car is going to look like when it's all lit up. Let's go ahead, open and close. Boom. There we go. Look at that. That's really pretty. Oh, look, the grill even lights up. I didn't even know the grill lit up like that. That's really nice looking. Another feature as part of when you open and close the door, I'll do it again right now, is that the hood of the car is going to light up too. Let's see how this part opens up. I think, yeah, it's from there. So, okay, that's not really the most impressive, but, you know, it does move up, so that's something. At least it does lift up a little bit. Now, the rest of this does not lift up here. It's just this part here. So, not necessarily the most exciting, I guess, but it does snap in really nicely. So, you can have at least some kind of, you know, interesting look for the car, like maybe it's under site construction. But at the very least, yeah, it does do that. You can't really look at anything else underneath it, though. You can't see anything else under the hood, so you can see the engine. That is not accessible, unfortunately. That's probably because of just the fact that there are lights there. But I think probably the coolest light up feature is definitely this back section here. You've got this one light over here. You've got kind of the glare, the rockety glare here from this part here. This screams Batmobile to me. This is like Adam West's 60s Batmobile, in fact. So anybody kind of complaining about that whole muscle car look, just think back to the 60s. And while it might be kind of a weird analogy to make for a movie that is meant to be more modern and kind of bring Batman into modern times, it's not an inaccurate thing either. I mean, that was a pretty cool, iconic version of the Batmobile, and this does have a few elements from it, just minus the camp. But yeah, I mean, look at this. This is so cool looking here. I really, really like this look here, man. I wish I had the words to describe all the car things I'm looking at, but yeah, just cool is about the best thing I can say for it right now. Let's actually open up the door, too, and see what's going on a little bit more inside this vehicle. And I know it's a little bit hard to tell what's happening there, so I'm going to have some photos if I can. But one thing I do want to point out is that while there isn't a seatbelt you can necessarily use, there is a little safety bar that does. You can see I've now currently got it raised up. There's kind of a little safety bar that you can actually knock down, and that's kind of like essentially your seatbelt. I mean, this car is kind of like a demolition derby car, if you really think about it, because it's got this or like a race car, I guess you could say, because it's got this section here to protect the driver. You guys can see a little bit better on the inside now what's going on there. So that's something. I mean, unfortunately, I don't think you're going to really be able to easily fit a 1/18 scale figure in there. You might be able to get a G.I. Joe, but I don't even think that's possible because it's a pretty tight fit in there. Let's actually turn this guy around. Let's find out if the other door opens too. Yes, okay, cool. The other door does open as well. So that kind of gives us a better glimpse We can see on the other side of the car, a little bit more there. Look at that. Man, it's pretty cool looking. I mean, there's not really a ton of detail on the inside of this, and I don't think there's any lights on the inside either. Yeah, it looks like there's none on the inside, but still really nice. As far as Batmobiles go, while it might not be as crazy looking as the Keaton or especially the Schumachers, I think I can safely say this is a Batmobile. So that's the Batmobile, but let's take a look at this die-cast figure that also comes with it here. And again, the figures have really been a reason why I haven't really collected a lot of Jada items. Not really a fan of them, don't like how they look, but let's see if this one can change my mind at all. And I mean, it does look definitely a little bit better. I will say, since they're working a little bit of a larger scale, the figure looks a lot nicer, and the paint is overall much cleaner than I'm used to seeing. I mean, some of those little nano figures, they're pretty fugly. There's really no other word I can use about them, but in terms of like the look of this version here, I mean, this is actually pretty good. I'm kind of liking this. It's got some good attention to detail. It's not a super detailed paint job. I mean, there's at least some kind of like toning on that leg over there, but otherwise it is a pretty fairly simple paint job, so, you know, not really much to say about it. It is a mostly die-cast figure. I believe the legs are die-cast. I think this is, but the arms are kind of rubbery, so that's rubber. And of course the cape is rubber too. There is zero articulation on this. It is just a solid die-cast figurine. So, you know, it gets the job done. That's really about the best I can say about it. It's cool to have. It's going to look great standing next to this thing here. I kind of wish that maybe Jada would do some articulated figures though to go with the cars. I don't think they can, unfortunately, because I think the license to be able to do that probably belongs to another company. So they can't make 1/18 scale articulated figures. But if you were to just display this piece, I mean, this would be fine next to it. It gets the job done. It tells the story. That's really all you need to accomplish with this die-cast figure. Is this figure helping me decide if I like the bat suit more or less? Not really. Honestly, the McFarlane figures are a little bit better for that if you want to get a better peek at what the costume is going to look like and how it's going to look on Robert Pattinson. So to me, really, this die-cast figure, it's just kind of a bonus because the car, let's face it, that really is the main event here. If you're buying this thing for the figure, you're making a pretty grave mistake there. But as far as an accessory goes to this vehicle, I think it's spot on for that. So what's the final verdict on this Jada Toys Next Level die-cast Batmobile? Well, I would say that the name Next Level is pretty appropriate for this thing. It's got some beautiful details on it. I like all the light features. And you know, one of the things when you do a toy review like this is that you're really trying too hard not to judge the vehicle itself, but try to judge it as a toy. And for me, that was pretty difficult because this is the first time that I'm taking a look at this Batmobile really in depth and this up close. But I'm really liking what I see as far as it goes being a toy and being a vehicle in the film. There's a lot of really great details here. There's a lot of little things I really love about this thing. And again, this is coming from someone who isn't a car guy. I think someone who is a car guy can appreciate this on a much higher level. But as far as a toy goes, this thing is really awesome. It's a great collectible. I think it's going to look excellent no matter where you put it, whether it's loose, whether it's back on that stupid thing we saw earlier that I had to unscrew it from. This thing works on a lot of different levels. While the minifigure might not be really exciting in any way whatsoever other than to kind of show scale, this die-cast car really does it for me, and as far as my collection goes, I think it's going to stand out as a pretty unique piece among everything else I have. Now, this being a die-cast piece, it does come with a pretty heavy price tag, and that would be $60. But all things considered, 60 bucks isn't that much. I mean, you got to keep in mind, a lot of that is going to be due to the weight and the fact there's so much actual metal being used in this piece here. Now, let's compare it to what Hasbro had. Now let's compare this to like what Hasbro did with their 1/18 scale Ecto-1, which was actually about, I think, $40 or $50. That had some working lights on it also, but that was all plastic. So when you keep in mind that the body of this car and so much more of it is in fact metal, that is going to increase the price. I think 60 bucks is actually a pretty fair value for what you're getting here. It's a solid collectible. It's even a pretty good toy here. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. Really, my one thing just to watch out for is when you're taking this thing off the base and you're unscrewing it, just be careful not to scuff it like I did. But again, I'm pretty sure I can fix that, and if anybody out there has any pro tips for me, let me know in the comments below. So that's our look at this Jada Toys Next Level 1/18 scale Batmobile for the new Batman movie. This is available for pre-order exclusively on Jada's Next Level website. I'm going to have a link for that in the description, so make sure you check it out if you want to order it. But overall, I've got positive things to say about it. I'm really a big fan of this piece, and I'm actually now pretty excited to see what else Jada's going to be doing. And I also know they are making action figures now. They just dipped their toes into it last year with some Universal monsters. Hopefully we'll get a chance to take a look at those as well in the future. But really, this being my kind of reintroduction to what Jada is and what they've become, I'm pretty happy with this. And I am very excited to see what else they're going to be doing in 2022 and beyond. So until next time, I'm Matthew. This has been Nerd News Today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys same bat time, same bat channel.